Wanderers, Remnant 2's second DLC, The Forgotten Kingdom, introduces players to a new archetype, the Invoker. This hybrid damage and support class taps into the wild magic of Yeisha to unleash devastating attacks and keep their team alive. And we've got an exclusive new look. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're sharing some of the first gameplay of Remnant 2's new archetype, the Invoker. Before we start, a huge thank you to Gunfire Games and Arc Games for giving us the chance to bring you exclusive Invoker gameplay first. Now, to level set, we will not be revealing how to find the Invoker archetype item in this video. That's a secret for another day and something we want the community to experience once the Forgotten Kingdom goes live. That being said, there's still a ton to show off, so let's get into it. The Invoker's prime perk, Visionary, is really unique and the centerpiece of the archetype. This affects your Invoker's skill as well as the skill you choose from your dual archetype. The prime perk also reduces all skill cooldowns by 10% whenever you activate a skill. The more you use skills, the quicker you have them back up, which is an important dynamic of the archetype. Finally, if paired with an archetype like the Engineer, Visionary doubles the base ammo of all heavy weapons. For now, we'll leave that alone, but don't sleep on a potential Invoker-Engineer combination. The Invoker's trait, Gifted, increases skill duration by up to 30% at level 10. As with all other archetypes, once you reach level 10, the trait becomes available even if you're not using the archetype. I do want you to keep in mind that skill duration is optimized for the Invoker, and while there are other archetypes that benefit from longer duration skills, the trait is uniquely suited for the Invoker's kit. Let's also quickly run down the perks before we take a look at the Invoker's skills. Entranced is the archetype's damage perk. At level 10, it increases skill damage by 30%, elemental damage by 15%, and skill and elemental critical chance by 5%. This perk gives you a lot of flexibility to not only deal damage with skills, but also lean into elemental damage. The team perk, Communion, reduces skill cooldown by 1% and heals 2% of the max health every 3 seconds for allies while an Invoker skill is active. The more you use your skills and the longer they stay active, the longer your team receives the perk's benefits, which is why skill duration is hugely effective with the Invoker. The utility perk, Mind and Body, increases movement speed by 5% and reduces damage by 5% while an Invoker skill is active. Finally, there's the Relic perk, Soothsayer, which extends the duration of an active Invoker skill by 20% of the base duration when a Relic is used. Relic use speed is also increased by 25% while an Invoker skill is active. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about the Invoker's skills, because this is where the archetype really starts to come alive. The team did a great job making each skill feel incredibly unique, and while they of course tap into other things we're accustomed to in Remnant 2, they're also far different than anything we've seen before. Way of Keula is hands down going to be one of the best offensive skills in the game. When cast, a tidal wave shoots out in a straight line, dealing damage to enemies caught in the path. But it's the secondary effect, a massive rainstorm, that really makes the difference. For a decent stretch of time after the ability is cast, enemies caught in the massive AoE are drenched, reducing their movement speed by 10% and taking periodic lightning strikes that deal thousands of damage split between all enemies in the AoE. Simply put, the rainstorm is huge, and the more you can juice your skill damage, the more each lightning strike chunks away at the enemy's health. Because the damage is split between all enemies in the AoE, not only is Way of Keula great at dealing with multiple enemies, but it also does work on single target fights, often adding thousands of damage into the mix per lightning strike. The second skill, Way of Merdra, is for those utility players out there that prefer to put their team ahead of their damage. When activated, Way of Merdra heals all allies for 20% of their max health within a short period of time. At the same time, a medium-sized AoE grows outwards from the player that lasts for a decent stretch of time. Any allies inside the AoE will heal a percentage of their max health per second and gain some of their base damage as lifesteal so long as they stay within the zone. Enemies caught within the AoE are debuffed with Gloom, which increases all incoming elemental damage by 15%. Now, this is not a show-stopping ability, but if you prefer to play as a team, there's a lot Way of Merdra brings to the table. The skill itself makes for a great rallying point. The Invoker can drop it down, and the team can reap all the benefits of the skill, gaining healing over time and lifesteal during key moments throughout a fight. The final skill, Way of Lydusa, is perfect for the player that likes to be the primary damage dealer in the group. When activated, all ranged and melee attacks apply Brittle, which increases critical chance by 5% and critical damage by 15%. As you deal damage and kill enemies, you generate Sand Devils. When you reactivate the ability, you cast an AoE around the character that deals 100 elemental damage per charge of Sand Devils, maxing out at 10 stacks. Unlike the other Invoker skills which focus on actual skill damage, Way of Lydusa synergizes better with more weapon-focused builds. The key to utilizing the skill best is to reduce the cooldown as fast as possible so you can activate another instance of the skill, ideally chaining together uses as close together as possible for maximum impact. On paper, the Invoker's kit is impressive and taps into the primal nature of Yeisha itself to devastating effect, but paired with other archetypes, things reach new heights. Some of my favorite combinations so far have been the Invoker and the Engineer, which not only further amplifies skill damage, but provides you with the necessary sustain and utility to withstand enemy assaults. Another fun pairing is the Invoker and Ritualist. If you choose to lean into elemental damage, this combination is wicked. Dealing elemental damage with your guns and mods and then amplifying or executing enemies with your increased amount of skills never gets old, and it's a great way to deal with the new threats in the Forgotten Kingdom DLC. Finally, if you're planning on leaning into a more utility build, then check out the Invoker and Medic. It's all support all the time with this build, and the synergies between Way of Merdra and the Medic's perks can help your entire team fight through pretty much any encounter. Ultimately, you can make any combination of archetypes work, but there are some superior synergies that I have no doubt the community will discover themselves. I have only scratched the surface of what's possible with the Invoker, and I have no doubt some incredible builds will come out of this new archetype being added to the game. So there you have it, an exclusive first look at the new Invoker archetype. A huge thank you to Gunfire Games and Arc Games for giving Legacy Gaming the chance to bring you this content first. The Forgotten Kingdom DLC arrives on April 23rd for just $10, and as always, we have been huge fans of Remnant 2 since before launch, and we have loved getting the chance to share some upcoming content with you all early. Just so you know, we do have a small lineup of videos planned for the launch of the DLC, so do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing so you never miss a new video. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.